How did you use media technologies in the construction and research, planning and evaluation stages? When creating my final media product, I had used many different kinds of media technologies in the construction, research and planning and the evaluation stages. During the initial stage of trying to find a song, I had checked on a website called SoundCloud. SoundCloud is not a mainstream website to find songs. I was looking for a song that would be of the indie pop or pop genre. However, because I couldn't find an appropriate song on SoundCloud, I had to then move on to another music searching website called iTunes. iTunes is a globally known website which shares music and other media. After a long search, I had found two songs which I was quite interested. These were Everybody by Ingrid Michaelson and You and I, also by Ingrid Michaelson. Because iTunes only allows you to listen to a small snippet of the songs, I decided to then go onto YouTube, which is a predominant site which I use to listen to music. YouTube then allowed me to listen to the songs fully. This then allowed me to decide which song I preferred, and at the end I decided Everybody by Ingrid Michaelson was the song which I preferred more. After downloading the song by Ingrid Michaelson, I had contacted the artist via Twitter to notify her that I will be using her music for my coursework. The platform of Twitter is a modern media technology which allows communication between ordinary people and famous people, so I grabbed the opportunity and contacted Ingrid. Because my song was chosen, I had decided to gather thoughts on the concept of my music video. To find concepts, I had moved on to researching artists who belong to the same genre as Ingrid Michaelson. After looking for similar artists to Ingrid on YouTube, I had found two artists, Gabrielle Aplin and Ellie Goulding, who had produced similar music to her. I then began Google image searching these artists to find out what kind of album artwork they had so I could take inspiration from them in order to have an idea of what my ancillary tasks should look like when it's done. Google Image was a really good help because it had listed many pictures of the artists and their album work. This was really useful as I could take ideas and concepts from them and replicate them onto my own work. I then went onto YouTube again, this time to find music videos which were created by Ellie Goulding and Gabrielle Aplin. I then took concepts from their videos and gathered the ideas which I could use onto my own real music video. All the research which I had found, I had placed on a website called Webs. This website enabled me to document the stages I had been through in order to evidence my research and planning and work I had done in order to produce my final media product and the evaluation. I had researched on various different media products to find particular editing, mise-en-scène, location and camera work, which I would consider to use onto my own work. I'd used the platform of YouTube to find all of these. YouTube allowed me to do this because it's a network which has thousands and thousands of videos where people use various different locations, mise-en-scène, camera work and editing skills, all of which could be inspirational for me. After finding these videos, I had imported them onto a software called Final Cut Pro. This is an editing software which allowed me to cut and edit these videos and clips accordingly, and I ended up creating 4 different videos which I could take inspiration from. One of the first parts of planning to construct my media product was to create an animatic or storyboards of which my music video should be like. I had used the HD Canon Handycam, which was really good to film with. I had then imported the videos onto Final Cut Pro. Final Cut Pro had allowed me to speed up the clips and also allowed me to cut them where necessary. It also allowed me to place my clips in time with my song, just as I would do with my real music video. During the process of planning, I had used a social networking site called Facebook in order to contact the actress who would be the leading character. Through Facebook, we were able to set out times where we could meet up and film and also share various other details which were needed in the preparation of filming. I had used Microsoft Word to produce call sheets in order to notify the cast and crew about the location, time, the place, and also the costumes which were needed to be worn. I had then used the grab tool, which could be found on a Mac, and converted the picture to a JPEG so I could then upload it onto a website called Webs. Having the call sheet up on Webs meant that it was easily accessible by anyone. During the process of filming, I had only used one camera to film. I used the basic Canon HD Handycam, which was provided by the college media department. Luckily, as it was in HD, I was able to bump up the quality of the video to 1080p, which made the video look decent enough to watch and somewhat professional. Once I had filmed my music video, I had moved on to editing. I used a software called Final Cut Pro to edit my video. It's a much more advanced program which allowed me to use tools which I wasn't able to use on a software called Windows Live Movie Maker. An advantage of using Final Cut Pro was that I was able to create a full screen section where I could place four clips together into one screen. This is something Windows Live Movie Maker wouldn't have allowed me to do because it wasn't as advanced as Final Cut Pro. I had used Final Cut Pro previously in my last year media coursework, so I was quite familiar with some of the basic tools such as Blade or Arrow, which I could use to cut the clips into segments which I needed. However, doing things like changing the angle of clips because they were quite bent was new to me, but I soon learnt how to use the tool after searching for tutorials on YouTube. Once I had completed editing my media product, I had then uploaded it onto YouTube. After I uploaded my video onto YouTube, I went onto my webs and I posted my final video so it was available for my examiners, my cohorts and my teachers to gain access to. As for my ancillary tasks, I had taken pictures with the Nikon DSLR. This camera was really good at taking HD pictures which looked really professional in comparison to pictures from a normal digital camera. With the pictures, I imported them onto a software called Photoshop, which allowed me to edit them. Photoshop is a software which is used by professionals all over the world, and by me having access to it, it had meant that I was also able to use the technologies that they were using so I could produce something of a similar standard to theirs. It's really good because it had many functions which I could use, and I had found that particularly the pigment tool was really helpful because it could help me find the correct colours. So I also used an online editing software called PicMonkey, which is a really good website which allowed me to add effects like sepia or black and white onto my pictures, which overall helped me gain the typical indie pop look on my ancillary task. As for my evaluation, I am using my iPhone as a recorder so I can create a voiceover for this video. I will then edit all of this together onto Final Cut Pro and then upload it straight onto YouTube.